Testing, testing. I want to make sure I'm good. Testing, am I good? Block that. Testing. I think I'm okay. Yeah, we're in good shape. All right, cool. Very cool. All right. Let me pull up NVIDIA earnings here, and then we go live here. Okay. Live on each platform at the moment. Cool. Okay. Pretty big news today. Obviously, after Q2 blowout earnings for NVIDIA, we are way up. Up 9% earlier. I mean, up 8.5%. We had almost broken $230 a share earlier on the trading session with NVIDIA. Absolutely insane results for the company as a result of what ended up happening in its Q2 earnings report. Some very exciting stuff on the NVIDIA front, and I know that bulls are probably pretty stoked about what they saw after yesterday's earning report. I've got the 10Q pulled up next to me. I've picked through it a bit, but if you were here yesterday, we were live for all 62 minutes of that call. Some pretty insane growth projections, too. We're expected to see 80% revenue growth in FY28 compared to FY27 for NVIDIA. Some pretty extensive and some pretty huge wins for the company overall. Just taking a look at what the numbers have been, we've seen $96 billion in revenue in FY27 compared to $47 billion for NVIDIA just a year ago. Earnings, absolute blowout, $60 billion of net income in one quarter. That is insane. That is insane growth. That is something that we probably may never see with a company, or we probably won't see with any company in today's environment. Absolutely insane growth. I ran to 80. I know NeoClouds are having an extremely good day today, especially Nebius, after NVIDIA's announcement with its plans to basically prioritize Nebius over other NeoClouds with respect to Vera Rubin deployment. Pretty interesting stuff. As far as IREN going to $80 a share, no, IREN's not going to $80 a share. I don't anticipate that happening anytime soon. That hasn't even happened this year. So no, I don't see that happening with NVIDIA. What price, what do you think the price will keep rising to? Michelle, I could see NVIDIA going higher. Obviously it's had a very strong day today. The stock's up, was up at 9% at some point, which was pretty exciting. A lot of things to like about NVIDIA's report. I mean, I listened to the entire call yesterday. I'm not sure if you were here yesterday, but that's what we did. And there were a lot of things. Vera Rubin is supposed to produce $40 billion per gigawatt in Frontier Lab revenue next year. Compare that to Blackwell with $24 billion per gigawatt in revenue. So essentially, Jensen Huang's position is compute is now equal to revenue. Pretty insane stuff. What do you think of Vistra? Good buy opportunity right now. Francesco, there's a lot to like about Vistra. It's one of the more solid construction companies that's definitely positioned itself well for the AI development that we've seen. The entire market was up yesterday as a result of NVIDIA's earnings. That probably is a good sign for Vistra. The problem with Vistra is that it's been on a bumpy road this year. We're pretty much at 52-week lows. Could it recover to 160 before the end of the year? It's possible. I'm not entirely sure. Hard to say. Thoughts on SanDisk, thoughts on memory. SanDisk, I know that memory is probably one of the key bottlenecks in NVIDIA's supply chain and the AI supply chain. The reason why SanDisk is down 1.5% today is, perplexes me a little bit. This might be profit taking from investors. This might be, people deciding that they want out. The fundamentals of SanDisk are extremely good. They're well positioned to be one of the key suppliers for NVIDIA for GPUs. So there's a lot to like about SanDisk. I like SanDisk at this price. Do I see it going back up to $2,200 a share like we saw in June? Hard to say. Probably not. Do I think NVIDIA will hit 230 again? It could, Kevin. It very well could. It's entirely possible. What do I think of Bloom Energy? Cool niche, cool market, interesting idea, an interesting play with respect to providing value and providing energy for data centers. But I think the hype train was probably behind us with Bloom Energy. And now it's time. It's basically now the rubber hits the road and see how the stock performs from there. It's still been a very good year, I would say, for Bloom Energy. I mean, we were trading at about $100 a share at the beginning of the year. Now we're at 218. That's still a very good year for the company. Thoughts on Broadcom? Yeah, I know Broadcom earnings are coming out. To be honest, I'm a bigger fan of Marvel, but I do get why people like Broadcom. Thoughts on Reddit? Love the fundamentals. Yes, I'm very bullish on Reddit. Huge fan of Reddit at this price. This is a fantastic opportunity to get on Reddit. I think that Reddit is extremely undervalued given its fundamental performance. I did a whole deep dive, a whole thesis on it. It's on my YouTube channel if you're curious. Thoughts on MSTR? Ario, with MSTR, it's a Bitcoin play. They provide an interesting product to investors, but it's entirely a Bitcoin play. So it's not necessarily an investment into the company. It's basically your thesis into what you think the price of Bitcoin is going to do. If it goes up, MSTR does well. If it goes down, MSTR does badly. So that's more of a Bitcoin play, not so much as Strategy Inc. Do you think IREN earnings will be good and will he stay live for the call? Callie, I think they probably will have a revenue beat like most neoclouds this quarter. I will not be live for the call, unfortunately. NVIDIA made me go up crazy. Yeah, NVIDIA, and it's been insane performance from NVIDIA. I mean, they're definitely the keystone to the bull market right now. Definitely the keystone to the bull market. And the memes have been incredible this morning as a result of what's been going on with NVIDIA. What about Micron, Micron Technologies? There's a lot to like about Micron. I know that the movement we've seen with Micron recently is probably because of the comments about the supply chain bottleneck that NVIDIA is facing, especially when it comes to memory and semiconductors. So if Micron can continue to perform as a business, then I think the stock price will get rewarded. We've seen pretty stiff resistance levels at about $1,000 a share, though. So as far as Micron breaking out, at least locally within the last quarter, if Micron can break out above $1,000 a quarter or a share, my guess it would probably be at the next quarterly report or some type of movement with the stock later on down the line, maybe an event-driven thing. Thoughts on Applied Materials? I know semiconductors are just getting slammed today, and Applied Materials has not really had a good month. I still like the stock. I still like the company. Its valuation is reasonable. There's still things to like about it. I know you're a big on Take-Two. I just bought more of the dip. What are your plans when you think to get out? J-Foot, I really like Take-Two Interactive. My target price for the company is about $285 a share. Here's the thing with Take-Two Interactive. You're going to probably see movement like we've seen over the last month, maybe hitting $250 a share, then coming back down to around $230, maybe going as low as like maybe $220 a share. This is going to happen. We're going to see these fluctuations in Take-Two until the release comes out on November 19th. When we get Q4 results on what the actual report number says, or maybe Q3, they'll give us pre-order numbers for Grand Theft Auto 6, then I think we'll see a major breakout. So this is a play that is worth hanging on to, in my view, at least through the end of the year. So if you're going to get it on and Take-Two Interactive, you're holding it short to midterm, I would say. I'd say that's the right move. Andrew, what's your target hold times on stocks? I usually like to see a stock hit a target price within 18 months. So I'm relatively patient, and I think that for the most part, my target prices are reasonable enough for some companies such that they can meet that. In with it going, in some cases there are exceptions though. There are exceptions in some cases. Thank you for the congratulations on the little one. That should be tomorrow. USA Rare Earth, Anthony. I do like USA Rare Earth. They're in an interesting niche. It's unprofitable, like many mining companies are, but I like the exposure you get, especially things like samarium. You get exposure to other interesting rare earth minerals. Like, for example, here on their profile, they're talking about how neodymium, samarium, gallium, terbium, all types of other rare earths. And those are important. Those are important for the AI supply chain and other uses. And the fact that they go specifically after that, I think, is interesting. Take-Two or buy or sell? I think it's buy. I like Take-Two a lot at this price. Thoughts on CrowdStrike? Sold before earnings, didn't want to risk anything. Oof. Yeah, that was that probably that hurts a little bit. So with CrowdStrike, the margin is razor thin, which is a little strange to me. I need a better understanding of the cybersecurity business overall. I know they had very strong results. As far as getting in to as far as like purchasing stock in the company, hard to say. It's hard to say. I think that CrowdStrike, there's a lot to like about CrowdStrike, but it's pretty expensive. Boeing, is it on sale? I don't think so. No. Marvel earnings will probably see a beat. I'd imagine a beat from revenue and earnings perspective, just a slight one. All right, so for those of you asking about Marvel, I think we're probably going to see a beat. Was considering buying some puts on IREN before earnings. Thoughts on IREN in general? So I'm not bullish on NeoClouds, especially, if I had to pick one, it would probably be IREN. They're probably going to do well after earnings because the market cares more about future growth right now and cares more about what guidance is as opposed to the actual results. So IREN's probably going to lose money this quarter. It's going to be in the red. The market won't care about that. If there's a revenue beat, it's going to get rewarded massively for it, like we saw with CoreWeave and Nebius. You dismissed my TUA and EXID recommendation was fine, as you mentioned, not enough liquid. Stratic investors, well, let's go look. I don't recall this. TUA Inc. Technology company, People's Republic of China. Oh, yeah. I may have said something like that to the effect of that. Has it performed well since then? I mean, was I wrong? Let me know if I was wrong. And the NeoXOD, Exodus Movement Inc. Yeah, I mean, these are like small cap, micro cap stocks. I don't follow super close speed, but if I was wrong, let me know. Technology for blockchain and digital asset industry, Exodus platform, and unhosted self-custodial digital asset wallet. Okay. Interesting. Will NVIDIA continue to climb today? I think we're probably seeing NVIDIA. I mean, NVIDIA has climbed. This is probably as good as it's going to get for NVIDIA today. Could we break out above 230 a share? I don't think so. But with respect to NVIDIA, this is a pretty solid climb. First $5 trillion company being up 8%. That's pretty good. Show dry powder for September and October. Well, what's the move? What's the move for September and October? What's the plan? Then Jack says, well, should I continue to hold over months or just sell now? I mean, Jack, before you think about this. The company had an insane Q2 result. Here's the 10Q for NVIDIA right here. For NVIDIA, we had $96.2 billion in revenue with nearly $60 billion in net income. That's an insane gross and that's an insane operating margin. That's an insane net margin. That's extremely good. Would you want to sell shares in a company that is showing that kind of growth year over year? I don't think it's a good idea to bet against NVIDIA right now, despite the fact that I do think AI is a bubble for the most part in a lot of ways. No, there's still plenty of room to run, especially with NVIDIA. And their movement has been nuts. The ETF's SMH is a safer bet than NVIDIA. Why is that? The VanEck Semiconductor ETF? Why is that a better choice? It's an extremely good year. I can see why. But long-term, why is it a good choice? To use great cash, even though small cap less than $1 billion valuation, or just about at $1 billion valuation. No, I mean, I get that. I get that Stratic. There's probably reasons to like TUA. I need to do more research on it. Should I hold dry powder for September to October? Yes, and it depends on what your move is. Why are you holding dry powder? Moving into what? ServiceNow's at 137. Ooh, really? Yeah. I think it's safe to say that the SaaSpocalypse is officially over, y'all. The SaaSpocalypse is over. I mean, with Salesforce knocked it out of the park with its earnings, and I think that's bled over to ServiceNow. Extremely good. Should I hold dry powder for midterm elections? I mean, if you're a swing trader or a day trader, maybe. But if you're like an actual legit investor, then I don't think so. Think SanDisk will hit 2K this year? Wag, I don't think so. No, it's with respect to SanDisk, I think that's a little far fetched. That's probably going to take some time. I mean, listen. The last time we were above $2,000 a share was back in June when we had the insane run up for basically the entire, like, for semiconductor memory, energy, GPUs, even construction. Like, it was insane. Will we get back above that level? Eventually we might. Is that going to happen before the end of the year? I honestly don't see it. I don't see it. What about Intel? I think Intel's too expensive. Intel is too expensive for its price. It's got a long road ahead of it. Despite the fact that it's had a good day, turning around the foundry business is going to take a long time for Intel. Is ServiceNow buy now? I think ServiceNow is beginning to enter overvalued territory. With respect to ServiceNow, I think the main thing that you need to watch out for is, if you got in, say late July at around 95 a share, and then you got out, or thinking about like getting out, it wouldn't be a bad time. Like it's nice. That's a nice profit on an investment. Pelosi just bought Intel, though. I mean, that's so good entry for Amazon. Honestly, I think right now isn't a bad time for Amazon. I mean, there's a lot to like about the stock, despite that fact that it's down 2% today. It's got a very good valuation right now. There's a ton to like about Amazon. And IREN earnings, Leo, I think we're going to see a revenue beat. Obviously, it's going to be unprofitable, but it's not about that. It's all about guidance. Nike, Nike is probably on a bit of a rough track today. Yeah, down to about $38 a share. We're at our resistance levels. We could see a breakout. What happened with Nike was what happened with Dick's Sporting Goods. When Dick's Sporting Goods had an absolute disaster of a Q2 report, basically blaming the Foot Locker business and their ability to sell shoes. Nike will obviously take a hit as a result of that. So with Nike, it's hard to say whether or not it's a good idea to get in. For the long term, I'm bullish on Nike. My thesis, though, with Nike is hitting some fierce resistance. The market disagrees with me. What's this app? This is Yahoo Finance. What do I think about IREN? IREN is too expensive, even though I probably imagine the stock will go up after earnings. IREN's expensive. Trump admin said they were considering 100% tariffs on semis data centers outside U.S. Is that correct? Comments? Mohit, I haven't heard of that yet. And if that's true, that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt a lot. What about Peter Thiel investing heavily into energy companies like Vistra and VST? I mean, that's fine. There's probably a good reason for that. I don't, as far as like following what Peter Thiel invests in, this isn't that's not particularly interesting to me. It doesn't seem like a bad idea to invest in Vistra. There's a lot of things to like about the business. It's done well. Stratic, thank you for joining. Politico said that the Trump admin's going to implement tariffs, 100% tariff. Well, we'll see if there's. I mean, I haven't heard anything I haven't heard from other news sources that that's going to be the same. That's going to be the case. IBM up 9. What's the outcome of your deep dive? KD, I didn't do my deep dive on IBM yet. There's a lot to like about IBM though. And it feels like that this big sell-off that we saw recently right here in the middle of July, their Q2 report, this feels like an overreaction. Things have been trending upward in the right direction. Listen, with respect to renting out compute, there's a lot of things to like about doing that. There's a lot of reasons why people should do that. But regarding IREN, they're not getting preferential treatment from compute providers like NVIDIA. Nebius is. So we'll probably see IREN have a revenue beat, probably an earnings miss though, but I think the stock will still go up. And it looks like the market's optimistic about it, especially with their Q4 2026 earnings in a couple of hours here. Completely new to this. I do have 2 shares of NVIDIA I bought pretty low a few months ago. Well, nice. There you go. That's why you invest in stocks, because they go up sometimes. They're considering tariffs. That's why semis are underperforming. That makes sense. That's probably a better explanation than the one I had about semiconductors being arguably the least important part of the supply chain for GPUs. But this makes sense, like why Applied Materials is down 1% today. Gold thesis. I hold gold as a macro hedge. And given the state of the debt situation in the United States right now and how rates are, there's reasons to hold gold. Now we're at 4.67 on the 10-year, so we're not as bad as we were last week. But we're just kind of hanging out in no man's land right now in the bond market, and hopefully these buyback operations calm rates down. But there's other implications with that. Do I cover Middle East markets? I don't. Up over 1,000% on Palantir. Nice. I'm at 20% gold. Then you're probably more pessimistic about things from a macro perspective than I am, Matthew. But I appreciate your conviction. Thoughts on Marvel? So for Marvel, I think that they're probably going to have a good day. We're expected to see about $2.7 billion in revenue with adjusted EPS at 93 cents a share. So I'd imagine we're probably going to see a slight beat for both of those, just because of how insane CapEx has been. So with respect to Marvel, there are things to like about the business, and its partnership with Google is pretty exciting, especially for that business. But the thing is that it's expensive. From a trailing 12-month perspective, we're sitting at an 84x earnings. It's not exactly cheap. Started position in Vistra long-term, stupid or not, close to 52-week low, but energy bottleneck. Bradley, if you have more regarding your thesis around Vistra, I would revisit that. It's not a bad company, though. It's a company that has had good growth, that has had a solid margin and a solid backlog. I think this is the time when you kind of hang on. Because if we're near 52-week lows, we could see things rebound. Do you look at option trading to help determine entrance sales? Occasionally, KD, I occasionally look at things like theta decay and seeing to try and get an idea of where investors' heads are at with a particular stock. And I occasionally do trade options, but that's not my primary mechanism to determine whether or not it's a good idea. Hi, what do I think about AppLovin? I just posted my deep dive on my YouTube channel about AppLovin. My conviction about AppLovin, I'm extremely bullish on this stock. My target price for AppLovin is $500 a share. This company has very strong fundamentals. They've made a really smart strategic shift over the last 18 months, getting rid of their apps business, going headfirst into e-commerce, and basically letting their Axon AI system run ads placements for their customers. Very smart. We're seeing like 25% year-over-year revenue growth, and we're seeing them streamline costs as well. Huge fan of AppLovin. It's trading at a fantastic valuation right now at about 24x trailing 12-month earnings. Very, very good. What ended up happening last month, this big sell-off we saw, massive overreaction by the market. Massive overreaction. There's a ton of things to like about AppLovin. Entry to Google right now. Yasin, I'd say, if you're going to think about buying stock in Google, you should also consider buying stock in Microsoft. Google's a great hyperscaler. Their off-balance sheet stuff with the things that's going on with Google, especially their off-balance sheet commitments, are a little concerning. And the number of special purpose vehicles they use is a little strange. They're going very, very, very. They're trying to offset that risk through a different vehicle, but they're ultimately going to be liable for what they're committing to eventually. So that's the concern with Google, despite the very strong Q2 results. I like Microsoft a little more. Thoughts on Zillow? That's a tough one. I'm honestly not a fan. When does Marvel report? At 4:45 Eastern this afternoon. Thoughts on Iron before the report? Theodore, I think Iron's going to probably have a revenue beat, maybe an earnings miss. I think it's going to be well. The stock's probably going to do fine. And I could see Iron going up like 4 or 5% after the earnings report has been dropped. What price is SpaceX attracted to me? Is it more about getting better revenue and margins? Yeah, it's a good question, Matt. SpaceX, I would say, here's the thing. This is a company that at its S1 did like $18 billion a year in revenue and had its IPO at about a $2 trillion valuation. That's insane. It's still insane as far as the price is concerned. We're at a $1.85 trillion valuation right now. And there's plans to build a $100 billion spaceport in Louisiana. And significant developments with Grok and all that kind of stuff. What concerns me about SpaceX is I think SpaceX is going to get the Tesla treatment, meaning it's going to get the Elon Musk premium treatment. So it's going to trade at a high PE if it eventually becomes profitable. Right now, though, this is way too much money. I'm not paying $140 a share for a company that's not profitable and is not producing that much revenue relative to its valuation. Very long term, I'm bullish on SpaceX, though. The rocket business, Starlink, all of the things that they're planning on doing with Mars, I'm bullish on. Because they're the only ones that have a real tangible plan with real tangible assets to make that happen. When its market cap is $50 trillion, it doesn't matter what you pay for it now. Yeah, but a $50 trillion market cap isn't something that's guaranteed. Nobody knows what its market's cap is going to be 10 years from now. Tell me more about AppLovin. John, you should go check out my YouTube channel. I just posted a half-hour video and did a deep dive into AppLovin. It's a fantastic buying opportunity. I'm very bullish on AppLovin. What about CRM? Yeah, Salesforce had a really, really good second quarter too. I think, guys, the SaaS apocalypse, I think, is over. For anyone who said AI was going to kill software as a service, I think it's been proven wrong. I think the SaaS apocalypse was over. ServiceNow is having a great day. Salesforce is having an incredible day. It was a strong report. There were a lot of things to like. A lot of things to like. Have I covered NVIDIA? Yeah, we watched the entire Q2 live stream. I live streamed the entire earnings call yesterday for NVIDIA. NVIDIA, I think, is a bad idea to bet against NVIDIA right now. Andrew, where can I DM you? You can DM me here, Yusuf. Should talk Oracle right now with its current credit concerns. That's why I'm avoiding Oracle, Phil. And in relation to NVIDIA, The circular deal between OpenAI, Oracle, and NVIDIA is a bit concerning because NVIDIA is investing equity and chips into OpenAI, and OpenAI is making massive commitments to Oracle with respect to, providing all the cloud services that they need. It's expensive. It's very expensive, and it's contingent upon or on OpenAI being able to produce a profit. Hard to do, and it hasn't been proven out yet. Was the SaaSpocalypse due to just investors pulling money to buy AI stocks in SpaceX? It was that, and also a combination of investors basically saying AI can do everything software as a service can do now, so SaaS companies are worthless. That was an overreaction proven to be wrong. Take with NVIDIA earnings and market reaction. NVIDIA's, like an insane quarter. They're projecting 80% growth in earnings next year. So, like, that puts them at more than $100 billion in net income per quarter. That's what they're projecting. Some of the things that were said in that earnings call were pretty nuts. Like Jensen Huang, he said ideally he'd like to see an infinite amount of compute per gigawatt per square foot in data centers. I don't think that's physically possible. Vera Rubin is supposed to provide Frontier Labs, open weight and open source models, or any AI companies $40 billion a year in revenue per gigawatt of Vera Rubin. Blackwell is currently at $24 billion per gigawatt in revenue. So definitely some very, very lofty growth assumptions, but they back it up though. NVIDIA talks the talk, they walk the walk. Yes, we would still have a bullish market. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. In short, what's your thought on APP, on AppLovin? Raju, thoughts on APP? Incredible buying opportunity. Massive market overreaction to the Q2 results. Completely silly reaction. Completely silly reaction. The fundamentals arguably improved quarter over quarter for AppLovin. It's an incredible buying opportunity. My target price is $500 a share. So very, very bullish on this stock. Thoughts on Meta? Meta is not my favorite hyperscaler for a couple of reasons. First is, they're putting a lot of contingent liabilities and off-balance sheet activity, namely debt that they would ultimately be responsible for, and very high lease payments on Hyperion that's being built in Louisiana. That's not on Meta's balance sheet yet, so they're not concealing it, but they're not being forthcoming about that stuff. And then Mark Zuckerberg. I don't like his vision for what he wants to do with AI. This is the same guy who thought that the metaverse was going to change the world, and that the results from that were laughable. So yeah, no. Thoughts on Nebius? I know Nebius is getting premium treatment from NVIDIA. Good news for them. As far as Nebius as a company, they've got a lot of debt and they have a very, very high valuation. It's not my least favorite neocloud. My least favorite neocloud, and a company I'm very bearish on, is CoreWeave. Nebius would probably take second place. You think of Oracle going forward? I'm steering clear of Oracle. Like the fact that the credit risk got downgraded because of everything associated with OpenAI is not something I'm excited about. I'm steering way clear of Oracle. Odd one, but thoughts on Webull? E&E, I think Robinhood's a little more interesting, to be honest. Why is the market moving down since this morning since NVIDIA beat earnings? Well, which companies are down? Because there's tons of companies that are up. I know that semiconductors are down, but that's because of tariff threats. 3.5 billion daily active users on Meta. Even if AI doesn't work, still great, solid long term at this price. I mean, sure, that's fair. But the problem is that on paper, Meta looks better than it is if you look at it on a forward basis. And that's because you got to look at the special purpose vehicles that are associated with it and all of the money that's being raised from private credit in order to finance some of their CapEx. Now, Meta has an absolute mountain of cash, and they've used it to buy their own compute, to develop their own compute. But this is not something that is immediately prevalent on the company's current financials. So its valuation relative to its earnings right now looks good. That fails to take into account the large amounts of overhead expenses it's going to be taking on in the next couple of years. What do you think about Marvel earnings today? We'll probably have a decent day for Marvel. Applied Materials, Mateus, AMAT is probably one of the best investments I've ever made. I've been holding shares in this company for nearly a decade. Still solid despite the bad month. There's a lot of things to like about AMAT. Very, very happy about my position in them, and I'm going to continue holding. I think Meta will hit $6.50 per share this year. It could. It very well could. We'll see Q3 results. It might. What do you feel about quantum computing? I know it's a little early. You pretty much hit the nail on the head. I love the idea of quantum computing. Very bullish on it long term. Little early right now. What's up, Andrew? Loaded up on TTW at less than 228 and Bros at less than 51 today. Nice, Evan. Well done. Well done. I think those seemed like they were good moves, especially TTWO. What about SanDisk? I know that memory is in a great position to take advantage of the supply bottlenecks we're seeing with compute development. As far as getting shares in SanDisk right now, it's probably a decent entry point, but will we see SanDisk where it was in June anytime soon? Probably not. So, I mean, like, could we see SanDisk at $1,800 by the end of the year? Yeah. Is it going to be at $2,200-$2,300? I think that's highly unlikely. So then quantum security is also bullish? Yeah. Microsoft is like the lowest risk hyperscaler, right? I think it is, yes. That's why Microsoft is one of my favorite. And Microsoft is a business I think is stronger than Meta. And I think it's stronger than Amazon. I think that it's basically tied with Google, but there are a lot of things to like about all of those companies. I just prefer Microsoft to all of them. Avgo earnings thoughts. Blake, I think it's going to be pretty decent for Broadcom. My biggest position, I hold a pretty large position with Apple and Applied Materials. I also have positions in other companies I'm really bullish on, like Reddit, Take-Two Interactive. I need to load up on AppLovin. Definitely need to load up on this stock right here. This company is right here. I mean, talk about a buy the dip opportunity. And it's a really good buy the dip opportunity in my view. Why is memory selling off when they got such bullish news with NVIDIA as well? From what I saw, the results were good with NVIDIA, which means good things for SanDisk. It means good things for Western Digital. But I think there's like some tariff threats going on right now. Someone mentioned earlier that there's a Politico ad about how tariffs are back on the table with semiconductors and data centers not here in the U.S. Don't know exactly what that means, but yeah, it could. If you had to start your portfolio again, what would you do? No ETFs. I would apply the same investing process. I would apply the investing process I have now compared to the investing process I had when I started out. AppLovin 5% of the portfolio. That's a smart move. I think that's a very wise move. What What does AppLovin do? AppLovin, what they do is for the, like, just a quick rundown. When you're on your phone, like I'm sure many of you are right now, and like you're playing a game, like whether it's like like Candy Crush or like those bridge war games or whatever, and you see an ad pop up for maybe another game or another app, that advertisement was most likely placed by AppLovin. And what AppLovin does is it provides the marketplace for advertisers who want engaged users who are likely purchasers of their products or services to get their product or service in front of those eyeballs, while at the same time it provides the platform for all of the developers of those games to monetize their products. So basically they control the buy and sell side of a marketplace where game developers, whether it's indie studios or big enterprise companies like Google and Meta, can bid for advertiser space on their platform, and then advertisers will get automatically fed to them. So the developer makes money, and then the advertiser gets what they want as far as their marketing campaign or goals, and then AppLovin makes money off of the advertisers. And that's why AppLovin's such a good business. And now they're going like full steam ahead into e-commerce, which is pretty interesting. They dropped because they missed earnings. They dropped because the AI algorithm that they're using to train their Axon Ads management business, it's basically the sell side of their business. The results from training it are basically going to take longer than anticipated. It's a timing issue, and Wall Street hated it. They said, "Oh my God, sell now! Everyone get out! It's taking way longer than I thought." That's completely silly. That was a massive overreaction. When do you think it'll reach target price? As far as AppLovin's concerned, I could see it happening within the next year, maybe even sooner. And here's what it's done so far this year. It's been down. It swings quite a bit. I mean, from April, it was at $388 a share, and it went up to $600 per share by June. So we could very possibly see it hit $500 a share. There's a lot to like about AppLovin. Thoughts on Oak Tower now? ServiceNow, I think, is approaching. I think, like, if I'm in ServiceNow, if I got in at around 95 a share, ServiceNow Pro, it's at like 137. It might be a decent time to take profits in ServiceNow. Still solid results, though. Can we look at CLS? Yeah, Celestica. Yeah, this Canadian. It's a Canadian company, right? Yeah. Yeah, they're electronic components in Toronto. Yeah, I mean, they're on my watch list. I've taken a brief look at them. Pretty good day so far today. Really, really good EPS gain. 78.6% improvement in earnings per share. Nice. That's nothing to scoff at. Evans's thoughts on Cisco. To be honest, Evan, I haven't paid attention to these guys in a long time. I haven't paid attention to them in a long time. And then McDonald's, Zukin, McDonald's is okay. It's a defensive play. It's all right. Not my favorite. Why is Apple my largest position? It just happened to be my largest position over time. I DCA'd into it, continued to buy shares over time. The moat's incredible. Apple's going to be around longer than my grandkids will, I think. No, there's a ton to like about Apple. I'm probably never selling my shares. And that's probably why I haven't sold my shares, ever. And that's probably why it's grown into my largest position. Will I be here for Marvel earnings? Probably not, guys, unfortunately. Thoughts on CRM? What happened today? I made bank. Well, Nerd Million, you got to pay attention, man. Results. Q2 results were awesome. 102.7% year-over-year increase in EPS. They doubled their earnings per share compared to a year ago. Like, that's insanely good. Yeah, up 22% today. I mean, come on. Bloom Energy on the up, maybe. It's still expensive for my taste, though. Still expensive for my taste. Why app better than competitors? Because they have the biggest moat, in my view. And their growth, I think, has been the strongest. SMR, NuScale Power. Yeah. I briefly took a look at these guys a while back. There's a lot of energy providers. Okay, so light water nuclear reactor can generate 77 megawatts of electricity. Provides a design and nuclear regulatory licensing basis information to construct and operate a power plant design. Cool, blah, 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 blah. As far as their ability to deliver, I think that's a bit of a concern. If I wanted to get nuclear exposure, I mean, Okta is one of the big ones. They had some very, very strong results. I think Constellation Energy is another good choice. Plays like this, where they're more niche, is obviously more risky. I'd love to see a bull thesis, though, if someone has it. The other thing, KD, I mean, like, so with Unity Software, as far as AppLovin's competitors, this isn't like the company's, it's much smaller. I don't think it's as capable either. And as far as its ability, like, if we look at its fundamentals and just take a quick glance at what those are, on a year-over-year basis, it's really not that good. Declining revenue, but losses are narrowing. And on quarter-over-quarter, I mean, they've been unprofitable. AppLovin is profitable. AppLovin's making a lot of money. Unity Software is not. Thoughts on Trump's Micron post? I didn't see it. What did it say? And Waste Management? Ada, Waste Management's one of my favorite defensive plays. Really big fan of Waste Management from a defensive perspective. Is AppLovin at risk from Apple? That's one of the threats the company has to deal with. Yes. Yeah. So if there's a data policy change for the App Store, or maybe Google decides to change some rules for Google Play or on Android, or maybe there's a new law that's passed by the government, that's a very real threat to AppLovin's business. Absolutely. And those changes have destroyed some companies before. So that you bring up a really good point, Matt, and that I specifically call that out in my video. Meta too, yeah. Thoughts on Marvel Technology and their earnings today? Okay, so here's my deal with Marvel. We're probably going to see a slight beat in revenue and earnings with Marvel. I'd imagine that the stock is probably going to go up a bit. Are we doing a hard dump tomorrow? I don't know, Mo. Which stock? Do you think App Weekly chart is in reversal mode? It's weird. Volume really hasn't been that high with AppLovin, and there's not really a clear direction on where momentum is, and it's been that way for a couple of weeks now. So we may see a breakout with it. In my experience, what I've found is that if you're sitting at narrow Bollinger Bands around, say, 100-day SMA, and your RSI is sitting, somewhere between 60 and 40, and it's been that way for a while, it could be due for a breakout. Bullish or bearish, it's really hard to call. Regardless, still like it. Still buying shares. Can we check Okta? Yeah. I don't know if anyone checked out the earnings call. I did not. But a lot of positive news. A lot of positive news for Okta. And CrowdStrike too. Its competitor CrowdStrike had a great quarterly report. But if we look at both of them, if we compare the both of them, I lean towards Okta just because of its PE ratio. I still need to do more homework on both of them. CrowdStrike, despite the fact that it had a great quarter, it's very expensive relative to its earnings. Thoughts on AVAV? Know a lot of people are interested about that one too. As a defense contractor, I mean, I don't pay a ton of attention to companies like this. There are things to like about it. Don't get me wrong. And I think that what they do is interesting. But prime contractors like Lockheed, Boeing, Northrop, maybe RTX or L3Harris, I pay a little bit closer attention to just because I know that they're first in line for big deals. But companies like AVAV can still pick up some decent sized deals as well. Do I invest in Bitcoin at all? I don't, Paul. No. ATS Space Mobile, ASTS, too much execution risk in my view. It's also pretty expensive for what you get. And I know the technology that they're developing, it's cool. I just still think, despite how different it is from Starlink and the different technology and the different end user that they're going after, they still are kind of in Starlink or SpaceX's shadow, in my view. So I'm not a fan of ASTS at this price. I'm probably going to sit on the sidelines for it. And regarding Rocket Lab, another very similar story. I'm also too much execution risk for me. Yeah, just a little bit too much execution risk for me. Carter says JOBY. Joby Aviation. Okay. I think I've heard of these dudes. In research, development, test, manufacture, and sale of electric vertical takeoff. Nice. And I believe, yep, $7 billion market cap. I'd imagine that it's probably not been great, financially speaking, for a long time. Yep, they're losing quite a bit of money. Look, with with small aviation companies like this, whether it's Surf Air Mobile, Joby, Archer, they're fun ideas and they're cool. And I'm interested in watching revolutionary ideas or interesting ideas that companies like this have. But the thing is that I'm not. If you've been in business since 2009 and you're progressing towards your FAA certification, it's like something's being told to you and you're probably not listening. What do you mean by too much execution risk? Their ability to pull off what they said they are, Grace. So for Rocket Lab getting their launches and the number of launches that they said, I'm not as optimistic as they are. Well, what's going on? How's it going? You think we'll see a Marvel rip? Yeah, I think we'll probably see a mid-sized Marvel rip. I'm expecting to see earnings and revenue, or a small beat in earnings and revenue. Please talk about Joby and Archer. I just did, Ron. Joby and Archer, I'm staying away from. I could be proven wrong. And I'm definitely would be willing to listen when I'm proven wrong. But the thing is that so far nothing huge has happened. Like I don't see flying electric taxis yet. As far as Ondas is concerned, there's a lot to like about Ondas, but it's pretty expensive. very expensive. Um, just because they have raised guidance and all that kind of stuff, they have to perform. And managing their cost structure is going to be a little bit tricky for them, especially as they nail down deals with other foreign countries that are U.S. allies. I mean, here's what it's been for Ondas for the last couple of years. Here's what it's been quarter over quarter. So we had an unprofitable Q2. Balance sheet health is improving, but we lost $88.2 million on $83.7 million in revenue. The business case is there for Ondas. It feels a little bit early, but the business case is there. Expensive, it's $9 relative to its earnings, Quentin. That's what I mean. It's not. When I say expensive, that has nothing to do with the share price. That has absolutely nothing to do with the share price. What about Marvel's earnings? Yeah, we'll probably see a revenue and earnings beat for Marvel. Yeah, on holdings, the shoes. It's been a rough quarter for athletic apparel. Footwear is it's a tough category right now. I mean, everyone likes to dogpile on Nike, and in many ways, rightfully so. But Hoka's and On haven't been doing great either. Great stream yesterday. Thanks, D. Appreciate it. Can we look at Micron? We can. Yes. When should you sell NVIDIA? You shouldn't. You should not sell NVIDIA. I would not recommend doing that. At what price should I sell NVIDIA? I don't know. But selling it right now, I think, is a silly idea. When should you sell ServiceNow? I think if you got in ServiceNow at around the middle of July, now might be a good time to take profits. There's a lot. ServiceNow is, I think, at fully valued. It's at its full valuation at the moment, I think. Micron. Yeah, semiconductors have had a rough day today. I believe that there are some tariff threats that are being bounced around, and semiconductors were specifically mentioned. But that end up that may potentially be a nothing burger. Maybe buy the dip. Yeah, I mean, the fundamentals are there for Micron. They're absolutely there. And there's commitments from NVIDIA. I mean, NVIDIA called out companies NVIDIA specifically called out yesterday were Micron. They called out Micron. They called out Nebius. They also called out some hyperscalers as well. I mean, Jensen Huang is extremely bullish on AI. If you need to pick up one stock that you would invest in now, which one would it be? Christopher, I really like AppLovin. I also really like Reddit. How does Rockstar's mother company look after the trailer release? You mean Take-Two Interactive? This is the company that's making GTA 6. They're down. Whoa. What happened here? I guess the gameplay footage. This might be... yes. There you go. Down 3%. I guess Wall Street doesn't like it. Trailer release on Netflix, that actually might be it, yeah. I mean, all right, whatever. Maybe a good time to load up on more. The leaks issue. Yeah, I mean, but if the leaks was as serious as people says it was, then it would have moved the stock more than it did. Yes, bro, AppLovin. That's right, Caleb. It's a great opportunity to get into AppLovin. I just published my deep dive on AppLovin, and yeah, I mean, if you're curious to learn more about what I think specifically about AppLovin, go to my YouTube channel. Would you sell Marvel earnings after the profit is there? Maybe roll it into AppLovin long term. Depends on the size of your position and when you got in, Bradley. I mean, as far as like managing your portfolio from that perspective, like what's your net IRR going to be? if we see, say, a 5% rip today in Marvel after they post earnings. You know, like I mean, it's, you got to factor in like capital gains that you'd be paying, that kind of stuff. It's I think the depending on your size of your Marvel position, the wiser move might just be to just buy AppLovin shares. Potentially. Start with fresh cash. Yeah, I agree. If you're going to go into AppLovin, that's the move I would make. Worth buying App, Nvidia, Reddit now, or wait for a dip? Yusuf, I like AppLovin right now. It is the dip for AppLovin. I also like Reddit a lot right now. As far as getting into Nvidia, I don't think, honestly, I don't think that's a bad idea. So Apple and Reddit, what's the reason? What's the reason explanation? Christopher, I'm talking about AppLovin, APP, not Apple. APP. It's I know it's like hard to, AppLovin Corporation. This is the one I'm talking about. AppLovin and Reddit are two that I really like. And if you're curious to know like my long form bull thesis, I publish it on YouTube. I publish all my theses, whether they're bullish or bearish, on YouTube on my channel. What about Dix? Yeah. Oh yeah, with Dix. This is that was bad. I don't know if you guys saw the Q2 report or read it all and compared it to what was said in Q1. It was a full reversal. They were all sunshine and rainbows over here in Q1, and then as soon as they published info about not only did did new releases of shoes at Foot Locker, but there weren't as many new releases, but they all underperformed by their own standards and industry standards, that hurts. And that rhetoric shift can just tell you how badly a stock can get punished. At Dick's Sporting Goods, I'm not touching it. I'm probably sitting on the sideline with Dick's Sporting Goods. Opinion on Iron. Lars, I mean, NeoClouds in general, I'm not very bullish on. Iron, if I had to pick a NeoCloud, it would probably be them. I'd imagine Iron will probably see a revenue beat for Iron. Maybe an earnings miss. We'll probably see Iron bounce to, you know, $43, $44 a share. Could be more than that, though. Definitely could be more than that. As far as Netflix is concerned, I know they went up. They touched above $80 a share the other day. Yeah, they almost got to 83. I'm still mulling on Netflix. I'm still thinking about it. You know, obviously with big news about, you know, the merger between Paramount and Warner is on their radar. And I know there's a whole mess with that going on right now. Bill Ackman got in on Netflix. And there are also some other factors that are at play, especially with what's going on in the streaming space. I'm still thinking about it. The valuation is interesting at the moment, but it's a tough call with Netflix. Do a deep dive on Netflix? I might, honestly. There's a lot of people asking me to do a lot of deep dives, though, and they take a while to make. And because, like, when I make a deep dive video, I take a full week. Like, I go in on everything. Go in on the filings, multiple years worth of filings. Go look at what was said between each of them. I go look at who the company's customers are, what their metrics are, how they make their money, revenue streams, quality of earnings, debt, balance sheets, all that shit. Technicals. I recalibrate my DCF model every time I do a new one. So they take time is the point. Netflix might be an interesting deep dive. What do you think of geothermal energy stocks? Mac, honestly, I don't know a ton about it. Do you have thoughts to share about it? I'd love to know what you think. I honestly don't know of many geothermal stocks. I'm buying anything right now. Dr. Sivash, I am getting I like Reddit, Take-Two Interactive, and AppLovin right now. AppLovin's my recent favorite bull pick. Do you expect yesterday that Nvidia would get ripped 9%? No, I actually didn't. On my live stream yesterday, I said that I expected Nvidia to probably do like I expected to see Nvidia do like maybe 2% after market. And I mean, we're up 8% today, but they just had insane results. What do you think about Pentair? Nicolo, do we have a ticker? Give me a ticker. Do you like Amazon? Mike, I like Amazon, yeah. I like Microsoft more, though. Amazon's not a bad pick. Amazon's at a really, really great valuation. Do I think OpenAI will go public? Great question. If OpenAI does go public, I am blasting that all over the internet. I'm live streaming every second of that. I think OpenAI might go public next year, maybe. I think Anthropic's going to go public before them. If you had the capital, would you buy entirely Nvidia without any other investors? You mean would I buy Nvidia if I had the money? I mean, sure, yeah. If I had $5 trillion in cash sitting around, would I buy Nvidia? I guess, yeah. Good entry into Boston Scientific. Wilt, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's been a long, steady decline for them. There's a lot of things that Boston Scientific does incredibly well, and on paper, it looks like a great opportunity. Got a PE less than 20 and a beta that's 0.6. Means low costs of capital. That means it's got solid earnings, probably decent fundamentals. The market doesn't like it though, and the market does get stuff wrong all the time, but it's worth understanding why the market's position is what it is in certain companies. So obviously do your own homework, do your own research, look into the leadership, do all the fundamental analysis. Many are bullish, but the stock isn't doing anything. Right, exactly. Why? Like, a lot of people like Boston Scientific. There's a lot to like about Boston Scientific. I mean, there's decent results from it, but the market doesn't. Why isn't the market moving it? That's worth asking, and that's worth finding out. We're seeing accelerated revenue growth, accelerated profitability. Balance sheet health is improving. Quarter-over-quarter things look pretty decent. Probably free cash flow negative last quarter, but that's probably CapEx expenses. So there's what they have, I think, is a story problem. The growth story isn't something that we know. We need to learn more about. AppLovin thoughts. Patrick, go to my YouTube channel. Long story short, I'm very, very, very bullish on AppLovin. Happy with NVIDIA? I think NVIDIA's results were very, very good. All right, Pentair, PNR. Pentair. Nicolo was asking about these guys. Haven't heard of them. Who are these guys? They're British Special Industrial Machinery in the UK. Various water solutions, the U.S., Western Europe, China, Latin America, Middle East, Southeast Asia, Australia, and Canada. Flow, Water Solutions, and Pool. Designed, manufactures, and sells fluid treatment and pump products and systems, including pressure vessels, gas recovery solutions, membrane bioreactors, wastewater. Okay, interesting. Water treatment. They got all kinds of stuff. Interesting. A British water treatment company. Yeah. Yeah, Nicolo, I would imagine it's probably trading how's it done so far this year? Not great. Not great. Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably pass on this, if I'm being honest. I'm surprised with the growth of SELLAS Life Sciences. Don't really see a real reason besides speculation. Yeah, I've been wondering the same thing about SELLAS. Celis, like, what? It's riding on Moderna's coattails right now. Evidently, they have some type of vaccine, I guess, or some type of system to essentially treat cancer. I don't know enough about the biology and the science and all that type of stuff that's why I'm fumbling my words right now. But I know a lot of people got really stoked about these guys, and people were talking about Celis, especially in my live stream, especially after Moderna's earnings. So, yeah, no. I feels like all hype. Don't know the substance around there, no. Think AMC stock will come back? Probably not, Summer. I think AMC is the lost cause in many ways. Thoughts on Palantir? How is Palantir doing today? Yeah, just ripping. Look at this. This is crazy. The fundamentals justify the growth in the stock price 100%. The company's growth is very impressive. And they're making the right moves with respect to diversifying their revenue streams. It is very expensive relative to its earnings, though. I'm just not a huge fan of Palantir at this price. It's just so expensive. And the market's pricing in basically perfect growth for them. I think if there's one slight miss with Palantir, like if they say, yeah, earnings came in at about 2% lower than expected, the stock's going to get punished pretty hard. The question is whether or not that'll actually happen. I don't know. Should NVIDIA buy Wendy's with their free cash flow? NVIDIA can probably buy entire countries with its free cash flow. Should we buy Iron before their earnings? I'm not playing Iron on their earnings. I mean, you guys can. Here's my thing with, and you know what? We'll just pull it up here in we'll just pull up Iron and earnings hub here and see what the street thinks. Iron Limited. Okay. So right now, estimates are 140 million in revenue and about 55 cents per share in net losses for Iron. So there you go. If they do 150, they could maybe do 150 million in revenue and maybe lose like 58 cents a share, and we'd probably see a pretty good uptick in Iron stock. They're about $41 a share right now, just under. The Reddit hate is stupid. It is stupid. And that's exactly why I like buying more shares of it when people don't like it. Because people who don't like Reddit, I think, are completely ignoring what's important. I asked you yesterday, but I was hoping you could look at TMC and get opinions. I feel like one. Yeah. If you mentioned it yesterday, let me get it today for you. Is it this? The Metals Company PLC, or excuse me, Inc. Was this the one? Heidi Hida. It's a British special. Okay, other industrial metals and mining. Okay. Oh, deep sea minerals expert. Yeah. I remember someone talking about this. Focus on the collection process and refining of polymetallic nodules found on the seafloor in California. Explores for nickel, cobalt, copper, and manganese. Exploration and commercial rights for 2 polymetallic nodule contact areas in the Clarion-Clipperton zone of the Pacific Ocean. Used in EVs, energy storage markets, manganese alloy. Huh, cool. Okay, almost $3 billion market cap. Rallied 32%, but faces significant challenges as pre-revenue miner. Oh, it's a speculative pre-revenue miner. Gotcha. Yeah. And they started trading in 2022. I don't love mining companies, to be honest. And the mining companies I do like, though, are the ones in the rare earth space. And if these guys are pre-revenue and they're at and they're burning $20 million a quarter, and they're basically warning investors of these very high risks. I don't know, man. When are they going to start making money? Yeah, just nothing. Lost $320 million in 2025. It has pre-revenue lots potential. NOAA license almost complete. Do they have the equipment, though? Can they physically get down to those nodule spots and actually physically mine the product? Like, do they own that stuff now? If they got that license, could they go tomorrow and start? Do they have the crews, like the Seacraft, all that stuff? Is that stuff sitting on their balance sheet right now today? Or at least the leases for that stuff? Because if not, then no. Thoughts on Novo Nordisk? I think Novo Nordisk it doesn't deserve the treatment it gets. It deserves better treatment from the market. It's trading at a very low valuation, but it has been for a long time. I like Eli Lilly better for that reason, because Eli Lilly moves. And Novo Nordisk is, the best European GLP-1 maker. I just like this. The market likes Eli Lilly more, so I like Eli Lilly more. Equipment is ready. 3 miners in construction. Industry print in Brownsville got funded by U.S. government. Okay, I mean, yeah, maybe it's worth a look. At that point, it's basically a flip of the coin. If they have, if the node's there with the minerals, then awesome. If it's not, then it's you're shit out of luck, right? What are you gonna do? Can we check ServiceNow? Yeah. Oh, ServiceNow's ripping today. Yeah, 138 a share. Not bad. Not bad. We're recovering quite nicely. There's a lot to like about ServiceNow, and they do a lot of stuff really, really, really well. But I think it's appropriately valued at this point. I think it's reached its full valuation. So as far as getting in right now, I don't know if that's a good idea. What's going on, TMC? I missed it. I guess they're about to get their NOAA license to start mining manganese, copper, and other minerals on the seafloor. So exciting stuff. Pretty risky, though. Bro, please help me with an answer. Milan Germania. Yes. If you're in your early 20s, might it be smart to investing in rare earth companies and holding till 40 plus? I don't know. That's such a long timeline. It's a good idea to invest in your 20s. I'll say that. It's a great idea to invest in your 20s. You should invest in your 20s. ETFs and index funds are great options for somebody in their mid-20s. Specifically owning like a rare earth stock for that long is way too long of a timeline for me to give you a solid answer. Am I a girl dad or boy dad? I'm a girl dad. Gonna be a girl dad. Already am a girl dad. Thoughts on Marvel earnings day? I think things are gonna go well for Marvel. Will it rip as much as Nvidia did? I don't think so, but it'll probably do well. Nike, should we enter, Eric? Before the Dick's Sporting Goods Q2 report, I would have said yes. After the Dick's Q2 report, I'm going to say wait for it to correct more, to be honest. Any opinions on Coinbase? No, not strong ones. It's not a company I follow super closely. I know a lot of people really like Coinbase, especially for the access to crypto that it offers. I'm much more closely in tune with what companies like Strategy Inc. are doing right now. Like MSTR is something that I'm much more familiar with. Coinbase, I don't have a super strong I have a basic understanding of, but not a strong enough understanding to know whether or not I like the stock at the moment. If you got a bull thesis or a bear thesis, I'm all ears. Thoughts on Stratton Oakmont? Lot to like about it. Especially its CEO. Did private equity kill Krispy Kreme? Bryson asks. Yeah. Man, what happened? Because I know it's been bouncing all over the place. The main thing about Krispy Kreme donuts, Bryson, is we need to know if it has a franchise model or not. And if it is a franchise model, or if private equity did roll up all the locations to it, then if private equity rolled all the stores up into corporate owned locations, then it's a question of looking at the operating margin. So your overhead expenses, what changed there? And if it's a franchise model, then it's a question on the revenue side of things. So is the company suffering as a result of high costs, lower revenue, or both? Don't know. I would imagine that if PE is involved in a donut business like this, they probably do damage to it long term. I mean, they probably extracted value out of the company. Would I get into it right now? No. Product quality decrease. Well, there you go. That's probably a PE firm involved with cutting costs somewhere. I mean, more generally investing in rare earth through future technology demand in 20, 30 years. Yeah, I mean, that's so as far as like if you're going to invest in rare earths with your 20s and hold stocks in rare earth companies for 20 years, then you got to have the thesis to do it. You need to have the thesis to understand why you're holding it for that long and what your real long-term belief is. It's probably easier. What Hida said is just find an ETF that meets your needs, because that's less work that you have to do than following an individual company. Can we check PRME? Promising biotech. Yeah, Matt, for sure. I saw you've been asking, so let's get into it. Prime Medicine Inc. Cool. Microcap. $660 million market cap. So pretty small. 146 employees from Cambridge, Massachusetts. Biotech engages delivering of genetic medicines to address the spectrum of diseases by deploying gene editing technology. Its lead therapeutic product is PM359 for chronic granulomatous disease. God, which is in phase 1/2 clinical trial. PM577 for Wilson disease, and PM647 to treat genetic disorder caused by mutations in the SERPINA1 gene, resulting in the production of misfolded ZAAT protein that accumulates in the liver and leads to hepatocellular injury, cirrhosis, and increased risk of hepatocellular carcinoma. Wow. All right, mouthful. Okay, Matt, what do we like? What's promising here? I mean, because we hear phase 1/2 clinical trials all the time out of biotech startups and out of pharmaceutical startups. So what specifically about this company is cool? Do we talk about Iran earnings today? Yeah, Luis, I think we're going to see a revenue beat and an earnings miss. We'll probably see the stock come up about 3 to 5%, I would imagine, after market close. So PRME, Matt, I mean, what do we like about it? They want to apply this tech to a variety of diseases, all other gene editors. Okay. So here's my thoughts on biotech startups like this, or small, micro caps that could break out huge one day. It's a question of finding out the size of the total addressable market for whatever illness they're trying to treat. And then when I did a deep dive on Eli Lilly, the one thing you really have to understand is the development costs for unsuccessful drugs or products is extremely high. So basically, every new endeavor, every new disease these biotech startups or pharmaceutical startups try and go after is a binary outcome. It's either going to succeed or it's going to fail. And if it fails, that's it. It's game over. If it succeeds, that's great. But is the total addressable market large enough such that you can fulfill the need there where marginal cost is less than marginal revenue for your product? I need to see more about this like gene editing techs, because they're not the only gene editors out there or applying gene editing technology and treatments to stuff. There's a lot out there. I mean, it's a good thought, but it requires more. Tell me more about why it makes it special. You know what I mean? Let me put it to you this way. Give me your opinion on what do you think about rare earth demand in 20, 30 years. It's probably going to be higher than it is today. But rare earths, like which rare earth? When you say rare earth minerals, there are thousands of them. Which ones? The demand's probably going to be higher than it is today. And it's probably going to be more valuable than it is today. How much? I have no idea. 20, 30, that's a long time. What kind of things are good for me as a beginning investor? Pink noise, I would educate yourself. Read books on investing. If you don't have like a finance or economics background, or like you don't have, like, that's not your strong suit or anything, I'd highly recommend reading books by like Burton Malkiel, Random Walk Down Wall Street. Howard Marks has some great stuff. Ben Graham with The Intelligent Investor, that's the Bible of investing. ETFs are another great way for beginner investors to get exposure into the market. Index funds are timeless, and as far as their staying power and performance, very strong. And as far as your ability to learn better and become an investor, it's all about educating yourself at first. Read. I just seen the Waste Management CEOs of 25 years is retiring. Oh my goodness, really? Oh my gosh, Waste Management is one of my favorite defensive plays. Oh no. Time to load up on more shares, I guess. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a stream. Thank you very much for the roses, Ghost Fullen. Appreciate the gifts. Appreciate you guys. Guys, I had a ton of fun talking today. This is probably going to be my last live stream for a while. I have a new baby coming very, very, very soon. I'm going to be on paternity leave for a bit, managing all of that. So thanks, guys, so much for watching and participating. Love exchanging ideas with you. I am going to I'll be back soonish. It'll be a little while, but I'll be back. And I'll try and get content out as much as I can. But thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for joining. One thing that would mean a ton is if you guys go check out my YouTube stuff. I put long form theses out for everybody and post all my live streams on YouTube there. So if you went and hit subscribe on YouTube, that would mean the world to me. And as always, thank you for everybody who chose to hit follow today. Thank you so much. And everybody have a fantastic day, fantastic weekend, and we'll see you probably in a week or two. All right, guys, take care and have a good one.